Hey guys, Ronan will. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to be painting some of the guys from Star Wars Shatterpoint. We're starting with the 501st units. This is going to be a new series that I'm working on. So to start with, I go with some Army Painter White and just kind of touching up all of my original white base coat. You could see there's some areas that it went a little lighter on. Yeah, so this is going to be a series that I'm going to be trying to keep up with for a while, so we don't have to use as many gameplay videos until I finish painting all these models, which I have a whole bunch of. These will be posted every Monday and Wednesday. So, Monday and Friday, sorry. Anyway, so you might know Wandering Shell's videos where she does a lot of these miniature paintings. So it's kind of going to be one of those, but yeah, so maybe a little bit of info on the characters as we go. Depends on how I'm feeling. So after the white, I took Necromancer Cloak, which is, again, these are all Army Painter paints, and instead of doing pure black on the bodysuit and the soles of the shoes and everything, the Necromancer's Cloak gives you like a nice gray. It's a dark gray, so you can still dark tone it or strong wash it, and then it will give you some highlight opportunities and some darkening options. You'll notice that I did not base this guy. For these guys, I wanted to kind of customize the bases. So you'll see an on-painted base at the end, but I haven't worked on the bases yet. I was going to do that in a video just to show you what I'm thinking for these guys versus the other troopers and everything. So I want to customize the bases more than just painting them. Anyway, so the 501st is Anakin Skywalker's Legion for the Clone Wars. They actually originated as clone troopers in, I guess you could say, in real life clone troopers. They were a fan group that were known for doing like charity work and stuff like that. And Star Wars, back when Lucasfilm still had the rights and everything, they were integrated into the Star Wars canon as the units that Anakin Skywalker commanded. So with the Necromancer's Cloak, I don't know why that is so hard for me to think about. I'm just kind of doing a few spots to see how it looks. This is one of the hardest spots, is that T eyepiece, because it's not only the eyes, it's also got like a weird mouth, if you will, for lack of a better word. But yeah, so I'm doing a few touch-ups as I go, just to clean up a few sections that I may have accidentally hit with the Necromancer's Cloak. You can see it's not a great paint job. It has been a while since I painted miniatures, and these guys are a little bit, they're a decent size. I feel like a little bit smaller than the last set that I was doing, and they're a lot more proportionate as far as like actual human design goes. But yeah, so if you're familiar with the Clone Wars animated series, these guys are basically in every episode. I'm holding off on painting the Commander Rex until I have a little bit more free time. You can see I'm trying to touch up where that black ended up getting all over the place. So, yeah. I'm also like in the middle of trying to get this done fairly quickly, to be honest. So I shouldn't be rushing these paint jobs, but I had basically 2 days to get. I ended up only getting 6 models done. I wanted to get about 10 finished in 2 days, so I could have these videos ready for this week. But that didn't really work out, so I got what I could done. But anyway, so now I'm on to the weapon, which I'm painting with a little gunmetal metallic paint from, again, Army Painter. And this really pops nicely, especially when you put the dark tone and everything. And finally, I believe that was Chimera Blue, just to give them their signature blue pauldrons and like blue markings to indicate that they are part of the 501st. This since I do a whole dark tone over the entire model, this is kind of just blocking in what I want to color in what for later. And I end up changing up a couple of these pieces because I don't like how it looks. The blue, especially on the chest piece and the helmet, kind of just, I wasn't a big fan of it. So I based this coat off of the one that is on the character sheet for the game. Again, once I add the dark tone, it will definitely look a lot better. If you look in the upper right, you can actually see the one I had originally done, and then realize that I didn't hit the record button, which is part of the reason why this guy's getting a quick paint job versus the other one. So this is the strong tone. It's a wash. So you basically, there's a couple of different thought processes on this. I very much am one of the people who will just put the wash over everything on a basic paint job, and then come back to it once it's dry, which is now. And then I go back over it with my original base tones or my base colors, which starting off with is just matte white. You'll also notice I have no method to how I paint these guys. I will start on an arm, move down to a leg, go back to the arm. Like, I don't have a set process. And honestly, I kind of went a little crazy here because white is a very hard color to really add those tones and stuff, especially when it's supposed to be clone trooper armor. They're not supposed to be dirty or any of that. Like, you don't see it like that very often in the movies or anything. If anything, you see maybe some splatter on the boots and stuff, which once I start doing the basing for these guys, that's when you'll see it. But right now what I'm doing, which I do differently than Michelle, than Wandering Shell. Wandering Shell likes to do a dry brush over the wash after she's done. I ended up I always opt for doing a full paint over the wash again. This, again, with white, it's not that great. It's kind of a pain. But with colors, what you do is you do a wash in the highlights areas, and you'll be able to see it a little bit once he's fully painted. But you'll see these like these dark recesses where his arm bends or where he's kind of like got overlapping plating, and it makes it pop so much better than just pure white. But yeah, again, I feel like I have gotten, like, I have to get back into painting these models. It's been a long time since I've done any actual meaningful paintings. So the tones also take a while to dry. So if you notice, I've actually have a new setup for this. It took like not 24 hours, but it to ensure that the entire tone is dry, you want to give it at least 3 to 4 hours, depending on where you're at. Where I live, it's very humid, so sometimes a dark tone like this could take a day. But yeah, I'm just kind of, I know it seems silly, but I'm basically removing all the work that I had the dark tones do, or the strong tone do. But you'll see I'm kind of just leaving some of those recesses with that super, super dark area. I was going to originally go with basically a dark tone, which is black. But I figured I want it to be more like a cartoony lighting effect. I'm not a big fan of going realistic with my painting. As you'll see, as I do more and more characters, they have actually some that are based more off of the live action shows, like their head sculpts can be live action, or the cartoon ones. I kind of went for the cartoon ones. I like those designs better. So as you can see here, this is where I'm being a lot more careful with it, and I'm using a smaller brush. This is the Army Painter, if I'm not mistaken. This is the detail brush. My favorite brush to use, especially for like touch-ups and stuff like this, is the Army Painter. What is it called? It's the Insane Detail Brush, and it's got like maybe 2 fibers in the entire head, but it's to do very, very tiny sections, which once we're doing characters with eyes, that's when I'll break that brush out, because it will allow me to do more than just like a dot for their eyes. It will let me do their like irises and color their eyes properly and stuff like that. So I know I promised this was going to be more information on the 501st and less about me just talking about my process and whatnot, but I feel like I have to explain a lot of my process, since it's been it's been like 5 years since I've done any painting videos on this channel, and I don't think those even really got any views. So yeah, I do apologize that the angle changed again. I had to switch out my battery packs in my camera. I've got to find a better camera. I've also got a very angry cat in the background. So, yeah. So as I go, I want to say these painting videos will go faster, especially once I get used to painting again. In truth, this is about double speed right now. This took me from start to finish approximately an hour, and that's not including obviously the basing, which I haven't done yet, and it doesn't include the varnishing. That's just the base coat, the toner, and the, for lack of a better word, the highlighting coat. And this is where I start like just filling in as much as I can. So yeah, then after this, we'll move on. We move on to the colors and all that. So I didn't have a specific 501st unit. I probably should have picked like 2 units that I liked, like Echo and Fives or something. Part of, not Bad Batch. I wanted to say Bad Batch. Part of like the early Clone Wars series. Well, Echo still is around, but anyway. I could have adjusted the paint job, like the blue on it, to match that. I have seen some people do the Ahsoka 501st paint jobs where the face is orange, white, and is it just orange, white, or orange, white, and blue? It's when the 501st are working with Ahsoka and she's no longer part of the Jedi Order. It's like this whole thing at the end of the Clone Wars. I do apologize that I'm sometimes out of frame on here. I'm still, again, relearning how to do these. But I kind of like the thinner, so you can still see the dark tone, the strong tone underneath the white, so it's not like a pure white like the original coating was. This is more like a off-white, and it's showing where, honestly, where a lot of the shadows would be are coming through. There's a few spots that I go a little heavy-handed on the white, but for the most part, that's going to be how it is. Especially that piece right on the back there. It got a lot more black. It got a lot more white in the crevices than I intended for it. So at this point, I'm just trying to finish up. And there's a section on this gauntlet right here that I'm working on. I managed to forget to I forgot to paint on the initial pass over, which kind of annoys me because I would have liked to have, like, I think that would have been fine without actually doing any touch-ups on it. Just have it with the paint at the end here, but you'll see that I go and I add a new color to that character. Essentially, the clone trooper here is going to be 5 colors. You have matte white, necro, God, keep saying it. You have matte white, you have, God, I keep thinking necromorph. Necromancer cloak, Chimera blue, gunmetal, and then the moon dust yellow is going to be for those buttons on his gauntlet. I end up coloring over the blue on his chest plate because, and even his head, I'll do that too. I wanted to test something out on this one. Basically what I end up doing is I take a brush of the blue and I remove majority of the paint off of it, so I'm doing what's called a dry brush. It's basically minimal amount of paint on the brush itself, and you do a couple of passes to give it that coloring. It kind of gives it like spotty, like it's starting to fall apart, or like it's starting to flake off almost, it looks like. which is what the effect I was trying to go for. The drawback the drawback to dry brushing is you do not have a ton of control over how the paint falls down onto it and what it looks like as you go, which is why I end up doing some more highlight touches with the white after I do that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So right now we are on to the helmet here, just adding that white into the crevices that need to pop. It's at this point my brush has built up a little too much white on it and is starting to like get in the way. But so I'm going to finish up here with the coating, and then I'm moving up to the head. Like I said, I removed the blue off the crest, off the top of the head, and then I end up putting it back on with a dry brush. So there we go. So that's him with all the white finished on it. We're going to move on to our, which color was it now? The blue. We're moving up back onto blue. I don't know if I should adjust this so the palette is off screen, or what I should do with it. But these were, like I said, the shoulder pauldrons are kind of just, you retouch the whole thing up. It has a little darkness underneath, which is fine. Again, it gives it that slight dimension that the pure color doesn't give. And then I switch brushes to try and do that dry brushing on the head, on the helmet. So you can see I have to do quite a few passes with the brush to try and get a little bit on the top of the head, and then I'll do the same thing with the chest plate here and the face, like right underneath the eyes. So if done correctly and carefully, it looks very nice. You can blend colors. I'm using my finger there to actually remove some of the paint to give it that splotchy look. And then I'm just kind of adding more. The brush I had right there was a cheapy brush that we got off of Temu. Now here, to define that line, I end up repainting white on the chest pieces. So this will give it that more, like, this is specifically where we wanted it painted, but it's starting to chip and peel from usage. Alright, that should be the Necromancer cloak again. And this is just touching up spots that I touched with either the blue or the white. I really should have tacked these guys down. My original one that I forgot to hit the record button on, I did tack down. But as I was painting, I was getting a little aggressive. And so the tacking let loose and he kind of was sliding all over the place. So I figured I'd just do it by hand, be careful about handling the model too much. That is the gunmetal. I'm going to just tap a couple of spots on the blaster itself with the gunmetal, just to bring out those highlights. It's at this point I forgot that I needed to touch up the gloves a little bit. Again, white right next to the gray like that is going to result in, like, having a little bit of issue with that paint getting on it if you're not too careful. But as you can see, just a little bit of the gunmetal ends up making it really pop quite a bit. And this is where I go back to the hands now with the necromancer cloak. And finally some more touch-ups with the white. And now I wanted to add a little bit more highlight, so I mixed a drop of the blue and white to make this like lighter blue. And then I'm just hitting the very, very top of the shoulder pauldrons with it. This way it looks more like the sun, and a little bit on the headgear. It looks like the sun is reflecting off the shoulder pauldrons and even the head. Again, I'm redefining that line on the headgear. And then that's about it. I believe I might even just add a few more blue highlights at the end here. And we will call that just about done. I almost forgot about the moon dust. I talked about it earlier, and I completely forgot about it in this video itself. It's such a small section that I do here, and it's so far off camera. I'm sorry about that, guys. But there it is. I do apologize. I don't know why my camera is just not very focused right now. But yeah, this is the one that we were painting, and then the next one, whatever he wants to pop in. There he is. He was the first one I did. But yeah. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to do a whole bunch of these. Like I said, it's going to be every other week. But till then, see you later. Ronan will. Later. Bye.